Thank you, Carl. I'm going to tell you about three things today. My qualifications to be area director, the year in review, and what the people related to my office holding had to think of my performance. Starting out with my qualifications, I have been involved as a team leader or a manager or supervisor for close to 40 years. Working at the sugar factory, I was a shift chemist, which led a group of 7 other chemists and sample carriers. I had a lot of experience teaching and leading square dance clubs over the years. I was a lead tech at the IT department in Monterey County for about 29 years. And so I've had quite a bit of experience being in a position of having to direct other people how to do their jobs and to help them and to support them in getting those jobs done. Now, I've also served twice, as Carl mentioned, twice as area governor and once as division governor. So I've had quite a bit of leadership involvement in Toastmasters itself, along with being involved heavily in mentoring in a lot of different clubs in a lot of different areas. And so this was actually a perfectly suited job for me to take. Now, this particular year, I decided to take on this challenge primarily because the district was threatening to take the strongest new club out of area A3 and move it to another area. And so I jumped in because the rest of the area was either weak or on their last legs. And I jumped in with the hopes of trying to keep that from happening. It turned out that was a done deal. There was nothing that was to be done about it. So here I was left with 3 clubs, 2 of which were quite weak. And so setting up area council meetings turned out to be a challenge to begin with, because the strongest club in the area, the Lions Club, only meets 2 nights a month. And one of those 2 nights is stepped on by my obligations to call for a square dance club. So the only night I could meet with that club or attend the club visits and was the first Tuesday of the month. And it took me a couple of months to actually get dialed in to communicating with them. So they were in a unique position. They had the biggest membership. They had 28 members as a base membership. But being a new club, they were a little bit lacking in, well, how do we go about doing this exactly? Their meetings go pretty well. But when I got to November and discovered that they really had no clue about needing to have their officers elected by the end of the year and reported, and certain other things that the methodology of reporting, of electing and reporting officers, I spent a whole special meeting with them going over all of these different issues. It turned out they weren't able to report there to even conduct their elections until the last Tuesday in December because of their twice a month meeting time and the time frame that we were up at. So they missed that goal. But other than that, they've been moving along. Their meetings are well organized. And I really enjoyed all of the times that I've been able to actually touch bases and meet with them. Another one of the major accomplishments for the year was the spring contest, the area contest. And that was probably the biggest success of the year. I was able to coordinate with the other 2 area directors, one of whom is here today. And a lot of you were actually involved in the contest. And so you know very well how it went. It was an effort that everybody pulled together and we really made it happen. It was only because of the participation, the cooperation of the team members that I pulled together that we were able to do such a good job of it. Now we've had, as far as the 3 clubs, we've had some issues with getting particularly training goals met. And part of that was due to the less than stellar record keeping on the part of the district. I'm sure that many of you know how that went down. The district just really did a poor job of recording and keeping track of who actually attended the training. And so there were a number of clubs, not just in my area, but all over the district that didn't get proper credit for officers that attended training. So that was a hurdle we couldn't do much about in spite of the efforts that we made to try to get that straightened out. It just was not done well. So I suppose I could have, if I had expected that. In fact, I did expect it for the spring training session. And so I warned every one of the officers in my 3 clubs in my area that they really needed to be proactive and go out of the way to take pictures and video recordings of them attending the training so that poor record keeping on the part of the district didn't affect their ability to get the credit for the officers. So we got through that and it worked out pretty well. The last part that I want to tell you about is the opinions that I had from those that I was working with in my area. I ended up getting a 360 evaluation from my division director and from one of the VPE of the Steinbeck Club. And both of them seemed to feel that I had a very strong suit in my coaching abilities, my ability to solve problems, and getting things done and motivating these people. Every time anybody had a question, they all knew where they could come for an answer. And so everything that went throughout the year was I managed to encourage strongly every officer of the club. I attended quite a few more meetings than was the minimum for my club visits. And all in all, the area came out a little bit stronger for my having been in the position of area director. Mr. Toastmaster.